Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And folks, I got to tell you, being me tonight, it's like being a Yankees fan who pretends they understand baseball analytics. You think you're smart, you say things like launch angle, and then you watch this offense and realize, oh no, I've been scammed. That's me. I've been scammed by this lineup. Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick, the guy argues with people on Twitter like he's defending the 2004 team. Meanwhile, this current offense looks like it was assembled by a Yankees fan doing a prank. I can already see Nick tonight, veins popping out of his neck. They had runners on base. Yeah, Nick, they also treated them like distant relatives at a wedding. Didn't even acknowledge them. Also joining us tonight is John Martinello. John sees the game ahead of everyone, which is great because halfway through tonight, he probably saw exactly how this was ending. Red Sox threatening and then immediately folding like a cheap lawn chair at a Yankees tailgate. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now coming off a brutal 3-2 loss to the Reds, and what should have been a solid series turned into a masterclass on how to absolutely waste opportunities. And let's be clear, this game was handed to them early. You get a 2-run bomb from Wilyer Abreu in the fourth, beautiful swing, ball gone. You're thinking, okay, here we go. Offense is waking up. And then nothing. And I mean nothing. From that point on, this offense turned into a Netflix buffering screen, just spinning, and no results. Let's break it down. Roman Anthony, strikeout, flyout. Trevor Story, strikeout, ground out, flyout. Caleb Durbin, strikeout with traffic. The entire lineup allergic to big hits. They had their chances. Wong doubles, Abreu singles, runners are on, and then strikeout. They had another chance, ninth inning, tying run on, and then fly out to end it. This wasn't bad luck. This was professional level failure with runners on base. And then the dagger, bottom six, you're cruising, pitching's holding, and boom. Eugenio Suarez with a 3-run home run, game flipped, season flashbacks automatically activated. And that's it. That's the game. Because once this offense falls behind, it's like asking a Yankees fan to admit 2009 was bought. They just shut down completely. This series against Cincinnati, it exposed something ugly. This team can pitch. They can flash moments. But when it comes to delivering a hit, when it actually matters, they turn into a beer league softball team after 3 Bud Lights. And if that's what we're going to see from the first 3 games is going to be any indication on how this season is going to go, be prepared for a losing record at the end and a team that just cannot score enough runs to win games. And now it's time for us to face the facts.
It's time for Face the Facts, where excuses get laughed out of the room, your feelings are irrelevant, and your opinion probably doesn't matter. No spin, no cope, just the facts. And now your esteemed host, Nick Face.
Nick, the floor is yours.
Sorry, I was just writing my Christmas card and finishing that up. It's not to John Henry, I'll tell you that. Deja vu. That's what the word is tonight. And can anybody help me out on this one actually a little bit? It's 2025 still the year, right? We're in 2025?
Oh, it's a continuation of 2025 if you're a Red Sox fan.
But it's 2026 right now. Is that right?
That is right. That is right, sir.
Same shit, Different year. That's what you can sum this up as. For the losing horns, because that's what they deserve. I was in the group chat. We were going back and forth and watching the game as we usually do. And I had to take a walk because I was that infuriated after what we saw with Weissert and then Duran getting picked off of first base. And I looked myself in the mirror and I shook my head and I said, why? Why are we continuing to do what we're doing? I guess it's because we're passionate about the Red Sox. I guess it's because we care and we want to talk and we want to give you the glimmer of hope that this team is going to be something. We're 3 games in, and I can already tell you right now that this is going to be the exact same BS that we're going to see yet again, because the problem starts at the top. We don't identify the problems enough. We get all hooped up about, Roman Anthony's going to be our AL MVP. Watch out, world. Oh, we have Crochet. He's awesome. Well, you also have to assemble other players on your roster to win. This isn't the NBA where you can put Jason Tatum or a Jaylen Brown out in a court and you can win, kind of by default in a way. You have to have a team. And the team that was put together yet again this offseason was mismanaged. It has been this way for way too many years and way too long for this to continue to go on. You have to call it out. If you folks want change, unfortunately, that's going to mean you're going to need to lose, as painful as it sounds. Because if they keep winning and doing their BS systematic, let me put this algorithm nonsense into their computer screen, gentlemen, it's not going to fix the current problem. The problem is you have a roster without a third baseman. You're piecing things together yet again when your owner is a billionaire. He doesn't care. He put on a face today once again in Cincinnati. Oh, look, I'm here. I'm here. I'm John Henry. I'm here. Well, I don't know if any of you saw my little quote that I put in with the picture that Nesson had, and I put the thing up. Yep, that's pretty spot on. But my statement was from Craig Breslow to John Henry. Daddy, I told you we were mismanaged, meaning we don't have a full team. We just don't. And again, if you look at the foundational pieces of this team, Alex Cora is a core reason why the Red Sox are what they are. They're going to have mental mistakes. They're going to have defensive miscues. Cora's going to keep on believing. Don't stop believing, just like their journey. You're going to have these issues non-stop. It's just who they are. And the biggest problem still that's still there, and we're still seeing this 3 games in because it's continued to be a mess for years and years and years. Pete Fatsi is your hitting coach, folks. You still have those long swings. You still have that can't hit in a clutch situation syndrome going on. You have just a big, giant mess. And it is so tiring. It is so frustrating to continue to have to see this and not have any answers to the test because you keep failing. You keep failing the test. Get these 2 bozos off my screen, please.
That is Face the Facts. Face the Facts is sponsored by Boston's Invisible Bat Collection. Now you see them. Actually, no, you don't. Neither did the Reds pitching staff.
It's a good one.
Thank you. I always aim to please.
But I have to say, too, before we go to John, the real Tom Caron is actually Jim sitting in at the desk right there. So,
yeah, I am in the Nesson booth tonight. I was actually able to get in.
Good. I hope you fired all of them.
I plan on to. And while we're at it, it's time for the Martinello Minute.
And now, the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
Is it time to panic? I say no, but it's really easy to look at the obvious holes on this roster, being the lack of power after back-to-back one-run losses. Duran gets caught stealing in the 8th. That's beyond unacceptable. Caleb Durbin looks lost at the plate. 0 for 12, 5 strikeouts for a guy that doesn't strike out to start his career in Boston. Is he an even worse Christian Arroyo? I'll just throw that out there. Saw a good tweet today on that. I ripped into him yesterday, so I'm not going to waste my time today doing that again. And another side note on Caleb Durbin, I don't think, I'm not going to give up on a guy for the whole year after one series, especially the first series of the season. It's a horrible start, and obviously I'm unimpressed by him, but to say I'm all set on him through 3 games would be a little irresponsible. Greg Weissert got burnt yesterday, on a decent sweeper to Elly De La Cruz that he hit a solo homer on, and solo home runs are going to happen to everybody. From time to time, you could live with those, but when you come into a game inheriting a runner, you walk the first guy, and then you leave a flat 92-mile-an-hour fastball in the wheelhouse of a guy that's paid to hit home runs. Can't do that. Noah Song, I'm waiting for you. Come up whenever you want to. Giovanni Moran made his Red Sox debut. He looks good. Changeup plays really well, so impressed with him. Connolly Early threw phenomenally. After the game, he said he didn't even have his best stuff today. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and the run shouldn't even been on his card after the game. Good players perform when they're not at 100%, and Connolly Early passed his first test with flying colors. Unfortunately, the offense and Weissert didn't have his back. Wilyer Abreu's tweak swing, that's changed the trajectory of his career, in my opinion. And another question of his in the offseason was if he could handle left-handed pitching. Today, 2 for 2 against left-handed pitchers, including a double. And he had 2 home runs this weekend. Listen, the Red Sox last year started 1-3 in Texas. They finished with 89 wins. I said it isn't time to panic, but I could definitely point out some of the flaws and concerns that we have with this team. And the Reds aren't even a bad team. They made the playoffs last season. They made improvements in the offseason with Suarez. It's a competitive roster with one of the best managers and one that the Red Sox should have never gotten rid of in Tito. But to finish up, the good thing about baseball is that you get the opportunity to flip the page and get right back on the field tomorrow. So on to Houston we go.
Yes, we do. And tonight's Martinello Minute is brought to you by the Red Sox Runners in Scoring Position Performance Center, where runners go to be stranded indefinitely. Reservations are required, but results are not included. One of the things you mentioned about the Red Sox record, they were 1-4 to start last year, but with 89 wins, you turn half of those around, and you're in a better position in that wild card hunt, and you're not the third wild card. So I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million times more. You can't win a championship, in April, but you could lose one, and that's what worries me. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Reds, it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me to pace the rest of the season. I know everybody's going to say it's early, and I think you're a fool if you tell me that, because this is the Boston Red Sox. I got into it with one dumbass today who told me that laugh out loud, laughing my ass off. It's 3 games on Durbin and stuff like that. Look, the Boston Red Sox should, and in the past, have been able to field above average talent or all-star caliber talent at every position on the diamond. You shouldn't have to sacrifice with a team that is 4th in its value at roughly $9 billion. This is not a team that should field incompetent players or cast-offs from other organizations. Now, on this show, we went through all the particulars with Durbin, and it looked pretty good. But we don't know if he can handle this market. We don't know if he can handle what's going to be thrown at him here. Milwaukee, and he didn't even play in New York. Just because he was with them means nothing. So, when you get a bunch of these guys that thrive in markets that don't mean anything, your Sonny Grays, your Andrew Baileys, those are the guys in their careers that they were playing meaningless baseball. It's different here. It's always been different here. It will always be different here. And if you can't handle it, you got to get out. And I'm not really confident in Caleb Durbin anymore. 3 games, call me a whiner. I'm happy to say that. I hope I'm wrong. That's the most important thing I'll say here. I hope I'm wrong. But he looks lost at the plate. Completely, utterly lost. Moving into our first topic of conversation, kind of what John was just talking about, the offense completely wasted the Abreu momentum. Wilyer Abreu gives you a 2-run home run in the 4th to take control of the game, and the lineup immediately flatlines after that. They didn't build on it, didn't pressure the pitcher, and didn't extend innings. My first question to you, Nick, is this lineup incapable of stepping up when a team's on a team's throat when they actually get a lead?
Of course they are. Yeah. Of course they are. It's the same shit, different season. This team has 0 clutch gene in them at all. Even Roman Anthony, guys, let's stop putting a pedestal under him right now, because I'm sorry, today's game with the bat, completely awful. And no one wants to come out and say it. We all think that he's going to be the MVP, this poster boy for baseball. Can we just let the guy develop and play, please? I absolutely hate him as my leadoff guy. I hate it. And I hope it doesn't ruin him. But that's definitely a concern for me right now. I know every game it's not going to be magical for everybody, but I didn't even think his bats today were competitive. I didn't. As the starter and your table setter in your lineup, I don't need another Jarren Duran. Get out of my life. I don't want it anymore. I'm frustrated, guys. If you can see my look, I'm pissed. I am really pissed off from this game today. Sometimes they say you wear your emotions on your sleeve. Jarren Duran getting picked off first base right now has ruined my love of the Red Sox for starting the season. So thank you so much, Duran. The mental mistakes is what drives me crazy. And whether it's on the bases or even with the bat, do something competitive up there. Do something. I mean, Andrew Montecero, whatever you call his name, even in the 9th, had a great hit. You got a guy on second, got 1 out, 2 wasted at bats again. Rafaela, pop up. First pitched, Roman Anthony, done. Oh, no, he walked. Excuse me. Trevor Story was the pop-up to end the game. Sorry. But it's not good enough. I'm sorry. It's not good enough. I want better. It's not, and Trevor Story is not a number 2 hitter. The problem. I am thankful for Wilyer Abreu. I will say, John, 100%. We're spot on with that. The guy's in the best shape of his life. He's shown us, at least in these first 3 games, and even in spring, that he's made adjustments with the bat. I have trust in Wilyer Abreu. I do right now. And I hope that continues. And he's right now, he's put the team on his back. Right now, I agree with you. He did the same thing in the start of last season, too. Yes, he did. He faded a little bit, and I think a lot of that was with injury. His biggest thing is staying healthy. If he could stay healthy for an entire year, I think he's one of the guys that we could all agree on. Roman Anthony, we just don't know what he's going to be. But after a couple of years of Wilyer Abreu now, I think he's the one guy that you look at and say he could take his game to the next level. We hope Rafaela will too. But, everybody else is who they is. Willson Contreras is what he is. But you're expecting him to be more. That's the problem. Trevor Story is what he is. Okay? Jarren Duran is what he is.
the one thing you could say, maybe Abreu can take his game to the next level and be more of a 275, 280 hitter with 30 home runs. I don't know. I think he's got that ability. I hate to use the word potential. I talk an ability. At 22 last year and he was hurt. Chances are he could have been closer to that 30 mark. But outside of that, there's very little to be really hopeful here on a nightly basis. John, your thoughts on, what I had said earlier about being able to, step on a team's throat and get a lead and maintain it.
Yeah. So, I mean, my problem with the game today, first inning, 11 pitches. Second inning, 11 pitches. Third inning, 18 pitches. Fourth inning, you get your 2 runs, 31 pitches. Fifth inning, 15, 19, 8, or 21, 27 in the 8th where you had another threat. And then I don't have how many pitches were thrown in the 9th. But the 2 innings where you had a threat in this game, over 25 pitches thrown. And that's what you need to do if you want to score runs. The baseline is typically, as an offense, you want to have the starting pitcher or whoever's on the mound throw 15 pitches or more every single inning. The Red Sox failed to do that in 5 innings of this game today. So, and then in the innings where they did get over 15 pitches, it was 1 swing that produced runs. And that's all you got. So when we talk about inconsistencies from the offensive side, it starts right there. The 8th inning, Jarren Duran. I mean, there's a pick off the pitch before he gets back fine, and then the camera was on him, and it honestly just looked like he was spaced out. It didn't even look like he was looking at who was Santillan that was on the mound. How often do you ever see just attention to detail? One of my points is little things matter, and when you're a team that doesn't have the power to have, like in Eugenio Suarez, that could just jack a 3-run home run, and then at any given moment, you need to do the little things perfectly. And when you don't do them, you lose by 1 run. And look what happened in the last 2 days.
You got to watch how you throw to guys like him. I understand you're trying to get a strikeout, but this is Weissert. He doesn't have a really good track record. He just gave up a home run to De La Cruz the day before. You're coming back with him again. I don't understand the love or the trust that Cora gives him because I think he's absolute trash. I don't like the guy at all. He completely debacled a couple games last season for us. I just, to your point, look at Trevor Story. He swings at the first pitch and he's out. And it's like, can you take a few pitches? And to your point, John, this is how, if you guys remember 2013 season and stuff like that, Mike Napoli, those guys, they would work the pitchers, to your point, where these starters were, at 60, 70 pitches by the 4th inning. And you would get into that bullpen because the whole idea was these bullpens were weaker in those years. They're a lot stronger across the board now, and everybody's throwing 99 plus. But back then, you worked the counts more. You tried to get more pitches thrown. Try to do that a little bit more. Stop going after the first pitch. I mean, Roman Anthony, I think he swung at 3 or 4 pitches, in 3 games at the first pitch. I mean, the opening game, he had a hit on the first pitch, but we're not taking any pitches, and that's what's driving me crazy.
I said it yesterday, before, in my notes for what I wanted to see out of this game. Every single guy in the Reds bullpen threw between Thursday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They had a spent bullpen, and you let Rhett Lauder go 5 innings on you, and he was under 50 pitches going into the 5th inning or going into the 4th inning.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta work counts, especially on days when
that's called the dog shit approach. Dog shit approach at the plate.
Moving right along, just want to hit a couple topic points here. Duran's pickoff, definitely a momentum killer. This one hurt really bad. was 8th inning, down 1 run. Duran gets on base, speed on, pressure moment, and then gets picked off. Gone, really dead. This is not just a mistake. It's a low baseball IQ moment in a high leverage spot. You can't do this. Jarren Duran, you've been in the league now long enough, and you should do a better job of being able to be more in the moment so that crap like this doesn't happen. You completely ruined yet another Red Sox potential comeback win.
It would have been. It would have been at least a tie game.
Your stupid nonsense in Game 3 last year. Thank you again. And for a guy that has the speed that he has, he's a dumbass on the bases. He really is. 20, 30 stolen bases per season, but he's not bright. And I'm telling you this because how do you let that happen? It'd be a different story if he was going. If he was going and you got thrown out or picked off, fine. But to get picked off at first base because you're not paying attention to the pitcher, you're just a clown. That's the bottom line. Nick.
It's fundamental baseball 101, and it starts at the top. And this is where I am going to bring the house down on Alex Cora because he lets this stuff blow by. There's no punishment. There's no anything to these guys. Oh, just get them next time. You just slap them on the butt and up. We'll go get them next time. Don't you worry, sweetheart. Come here. Let me give you a big hug. That is the problem. Can we wake up out there in Red Sox land and understand that our head cheerleader is a major problem for what this team is? That is their identity. They're a bunch of mental miscues out there is what they are. I feel like I'm watching an episode of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on repeat with the Island of Misfit Toys. Mm-hmm. That's what we are. The Island of Misfit Toys. We're a bunch of Kirby's.
And the thing is, too, it's like this is never getting better. Jarren Duran has not improved in his base running as he ages. Okay? Like I said earlier in the show, there's just one or two guys that I really think or hope or really believe in that can actually take their game to the next level. And one of the guys I want to mention that can do that is Connolly Early. Connolly Early deserved a lot better than the outing results that was here. Quietly, a real solid outing, work through traffic, multiple strikeouts, limited damage through 5+ innings. The only real mistake, the innings things that unraveled to help keep with help from the bullpen is really his problem. Here's the point. He pitched excellent today. He gave you confidence that he belongs in the rotation. And I don't know what's going to happen moving forward with Bayo, Oviedo, or even Suarez. But right now, if he pitched game 2, John, you'd come out of this series winning 2 out of 3 because he would have had it would have been a different matchup. You scored 5 runs in game 2. You would have won that game even if you lost today. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to play hypotheticals, absolutely, but I don't know how they would have, or they went with Sonny Gray because he's a 15-year vet in Major League Baseball for the second game.
Big deal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. But one thing that plays a role on this team very evidently is how much money guys are making. And that plays a role in where they are on the field. So you're paying him $20 million. He gets game 2. And Connolly Early, I don't think any of us before, on our preview show had any complaints about specifically Early throwing in game 3. And the opportunities were there to have more than 2 runs today. Red Sox were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So they obviously had their chances. And going back to the Duran thing, I mean, there's your third run right there if he's just paying attention.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the series coming up. So sorry about that interference there. ESPN always is a pain in the neck with their videos, but we have the Houston Astros next tomorrow at 8:10. Ranger Suarez against Lance McCullers Jr. On Tuesday, the 31st, 8:10 start, we have Brian Bayo, and he will oppose Hunter Brown. And then finally, Wednesday is a getaway game. It's at 2:10, Garrett Crochet, and he's going to be opposed by Mike Burrows. So, Nick, I'll start with you. Game one, Lance McCullers. How do you see this series going in full?
Houston, Houston, Houston. I'll keep it short. Houston, Houston, Houston.
Yeah, gotcha. John, how do you see this series playing out in Houston?
I got the Sox taking 1 out of 3. Game one with Suarez and Lance McCullers. Suarez is probably going to be on some sort of pitch count, I'd assume. So if he doesn't go too deep, maybe we see Oviedo come in for a long relief spot. Suarez has thrown against the Astros twice in his career. He's got a 5.91 ERA. The first time against them, he gave up 7 runs, and that was in 2022. And then his last time out against the Astros was in June of last year, and he threw 7 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 1 run. The one problem I have, which is probably going to determine at least one of the games in the series, is Jordan Alvarez, who every pitcher that the Red Sox have in this series, Suarez tomorrow, Bayo on Tuesday, Crochet on Wednesday, he's got phenomenal numbers against all 3 of these guys. So if the Red Sox have any chance of winning the series, intentionally walk Jordan Alvarez every single time he comes up to the plate. Bayo has decent numbers against the Astros. He gives up a lot of hits to them, but throughout his entire career, he's 2-0 against them, or he's 1-1 against them with a 2.19 ERA. And again, the only guy that's tapped him up a ton has been Jordan Alvarez. So that one, hopefully you get a win. I think a loss, though. They're facing Hunter Brown in that game, and the Red Sox have never touched him in his limited games against the Red Sox. And then game 3 is the one where I think the Red Sox have a good chance of winning for 2 reasons. One, Garrett Crochet. And if they're on a 4-game losing streak, it's exactly what happened last year. Garrett Crochet comes in. He does his job. I picked him to win the Cy Young this year. He's going to do what he does. And then the opposing pitcher in that game is Mike Burrows. That's a Connecticut guy. I'm 1 for 3 in my life against him in high school baseball. So if the Red Sox can't touch him, get me on the fucking roster.
Yeah, I think Nick, go ahead.
So back to my Houston, Houston, Houston comment. The reason I kept it short, and I wanted to give people a reason. I just don't want to just throw that out for no context. Excuse me. I can't speak tonight. I challenge the Red Sox right now. I challenge them. I challenge them to show me they can hit with runners in scoring position. Until you do that, I am not going to sit here and give you a win the rest of the season in this seat. I challenge you. Show me. You don't like how I'm going to tell you that you're going to lose every game? Fine. Do something about it. Because I'm sick of it. I just am. I'm sick of it. Even a Crochet start, I can't sit here and give you fans confidence because Crochet could pitch a gem. He could throw 6 innings of no hit ball, no run scored, and then our lifeless lineup does shit. That's our struggle, guys. I have a little checklist thing going here, by the way, too, that I am keeping very handy at my desk. And my checklist has the Red Sox 2026 of 1-run losses. We already have 2 in the column. I know we had about 20 last season. So
Yeah,
this is going to sit here, and I am hopeful that this stupid thing doesn't become full again like last season.
Yeah, it's going to be a high number because they're just not going to score enough runs. That's their problem. You know, this was the thought process going into this beginning of this season, that they didn't do enough offensively, to be able to overcome poor pitching. So, you know, my take is they're going to lose 2 out of 3 again. Unfortunately, I really wanted to be a minimum 3-3 coming home, but that's not the case. And they're going to be 1-3. They're going to win the crochet start as far as I can see. As far as your comment, John, on Suarez, I agree with you. I think he's going to probably last 3 innings. He'll have 60 pitches. They'll be down 4-0 after 3 innings, and Oviedo will come in. He'll shut the door down for innings 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. But it's going to be meaningless because they're not going to score. They'll be 4-1 will be the final. You know, and as far as game 2 with Bayo, I think that might be competitive, but at the end, they're going to wind up losing that one too, probably by a 1-run score, probably maybe like 6-5, 4-3, something like that. And they'll win the crochet game, probably 3-1. So that's how it's going to pull out. You can almost bet on this like it's 22, 23, 24, and 25 all over again. Time for some comments. Let's see what we got here. Mathematically eliminated. What's up, guys? How you doing? Let's see. We've got Groovy Weenie says, love the Martinello minute. Buffering for minutes on Jules, not sure. But early number 2 fact, I think it's what I think should, you know, happen moving down. I don't know if they would want to do 2 lefties in a row, although it shouldn't really matter. They had Chris Sale and David Price for years too. So, but I like that idea, having him. Jules says Stewart is better than Roman. Red's better than the Sox. Well, they were this weekend. I mean, that's just pretty much what you got.
Yeah, the kid hit 700 in the series with a 2,200 OPS. Like,
yeah, he's the real deal.
Insane. He's awesome. He's awesome.
He's the real deal.
That kid's hand should have fallen off his body on opening day.
Yep.
With that Roman line drive that he took. So I'm happy for him. I think he's great. And him and Roman Anthony played together growing up. Yeah,
he's the real deal. If anybody doesn't really know much about him, look him up because he's going to be a perennial all-star. Weiser can't be used with runners on. He can't be used at all. Okay? Unless you're down 6 runs, I really don't want to see the guy. Jules also writes, last place feels right. That's exactly where they are now. 3 games into the season, and we're cellar dwellers like normal. Trade Duran, please. It should have been done already.
Nobody wants him. That's the problem. We overvalue him.
Here's the other problem. He's got 2 more years of control left after this season. So, I mean, as it dwindles down, you're going to get less and less for him, which means the return winds up being smaller than his capability of what he could provide you offensively. And as those numbers continue to shift, you're going to lose out more and more until you're just really just a dump. At that point, they're not going to dump him. They'll let him play out his Red Sox career, and then he'll go as a free agent, and God knows if he'll get a major league deal. Mayer blew the challenge at the wrong time. I don't want Mayer. Here's the other thing, too. We talked about this last night. I have a little bit of a difficulty. The teams in general, but let's talk just about the Red Sox for now. They've got to, Cora and management have to really look hard at who can and cannot challenge calls on this roster and on this in this lineup. Some people have to have green lights. Some people cannot have green lights, especially when you're going to have the bottom of the order coming up, like Wong, and your Rafaela's after him, or Meyer, and it's like you're challenging a call. It better be in the fucking dirt if you're challenging it and it was called a strike, because other than that, I don't want to waste a challenge on the jack crap of my lineup.
I think it should be coming from a coach, me personally, from the dugout. They have 5 seconds.
I just don't know if they have the time.
Like that, and they go.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed today, the Reds had a guy in the dugout flashing whenever there was a call, maybe that you could challenge or not. They have a guy in the dugout with a red card and a green card that they were flashing up.
Yeah, something's got to be done. And I don't know, Nick, if they could do it from the dugout. They're going to have someone in center field on a camera looking at those pitches, because you only have about 2 seconds to be able to make that decision whether you want to challenge it or not.
Yeah.
So they've got to do something really, really fast. But
I'm just crazy. It's been 3 games, and the amount of impact that it has on a game, it's truly game changing.
Yeah. At least today it didn't come really into play. I mean, the Meyer one, they had 2 challenges at the time of it, so I didn't get too upset, but absolutely I agree that it was the wrong time to use it. 2 outs in the inning, runner on first, and your 9 hitters coming up next. Like, it was a close pitch. It just nicked a little part of the zone, but absolutely not the right situation to use it.
Good friend Murph says, sign the Butchie. I'll take him. Cora blows as always. It's a friend of ours, Murph.
No, Butchie.
He always puts that on there. Cora blows as always. Yeah, we know he does. Is Durbin going to get a hit anytime soon? I'm not quite sure. He could go hitless. He's having a Connor Wong 2025 season. The guy might have 3 RBIs by the end of the season.
And Connor Wong's leading the Red Sox in average right now.
Yeah, figures. him and of course Yoshida were on base a few times.
They were on the bases the most.
Jules says, I agree, Face. Crochet will have to go 7 probably, and also writes in the best Sox pod. Look, we try to give you fair and honest, no spin type quality work here. We hold nothing back, and we will never hold anything back. That said, I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank Nick and John for being on. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel or our website, go to redsoxdigest.com and sign up, and you can get a subscription digital newsletter for the every game that is played. We'll have an article the next day about it. And then, of course, our podcast is on there, as well as Spotify, Apple. And then we also have the live stream on the website, as well as YouTube. So you can definitely get that there. Also, too, don't forget to please go ahead and every night that we are broadcasting, there'll be an opportunity for our giveaway, which we will have in October for a $100 MLB gift card. And when you see that tweet from me or the Red Sox Digest account, or if it's retweeted by any of our crew, go ahead and go onto mine and write who you think is going to be the player of the game for that game. And then we're going to tally that up. And at the end of the season, whoever has the most points for the most correct choices is going to win that $100 gift card. Today's star of the game was Gino Suarez, who hit the game-winning home run. So I don't think there was a match today, but better luck next time. We will be live on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So Wednesday, you'll see that tweet pop up, and then you can go ahead and choose your star of the game. John, you had one more comment?
Yeah. Just want to say, great job today, Adam Beck, umpire behind home plate. We get a round of applause for him. I think he did really good today at his job. Oh, and Cooper Criswell in the 7th inning blew a no-hitter.
I always like Criswell. I'm sorry he didn't get more opportunities here in Boston.
They treated him like he was a bum. That
he needed 2 homes. He needed a home in Worcester, and he needed a home in Boston. He was back and forth every week.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin Youkilis used to do that trip from Pawtucket all the time too. He was
Lou Merlone was a big time trip back and forth guy too.
Yep.
So was Manny, but they'd make him come back to Boston. He didn't want to go.
That's going to do it for tonight. We will see you on Wednesday. Have a good night, everybody, and have a good week ahead. And I'd say go Red Sox, but I'm not even sure. Peace.
Go Woosa.